Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We're going to have a joyful spirit today. I think it's raining outside, is that right?
Yes, a little bit.
So we're going to be cheery and bright and loving and excited. We have all this good yellow for our ocean energy. It's going to be good. So I'm saying good afternoon to you, just to welcome you and to say thank you so much for being here with us today. This is our 4th Women of Color Political Lunch. So give yourself a round of applause for being here. We are really grateful to see all of you. We know that we have called, we have emailed, we have Facebooked, we have tweeted, and it just takes your presence to make this work. And we are just wanting to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts for being here with us today. This is our 6th annual Women of Color HERStory Month. So you are a part of HERStory, yes. And every day that we live and move forward, we make ourselves, we make our legacy. We make ourselves our legend. So my name is Bekazela Mguni, and I'm the Program Director of New Voices Pittsburgh, Women of Color for Reproductive Justice. And it is my great pleasure, once again, to welcome you to today's event. This is our first official event of Women of Color HERStory Month. Was anyone at something called, just a little something called 1 Billion Rising? Right? Just a little something, a little global action to end violence against women, take a stand. So thank you all again for coming out. We had over 500 people in Market Square, packed, and we danced, we chanted, we striked, we said we're not going to work today, we're taking off school today, or we cut out for a little bit to say that we matter. Our lives, our existence matter, and we are no longer going to take any of the abuse that we have faced for hundreds of thousands of years. That's it. It's done. So today is about our power. Our political power is not just in the ballot or in the marches or the rallies. Our political power is in our everyday lives and how we treat each other and how we decide to walk in the world and how we decide to practice loving one another, how we decide to take care of ourselves. And New Voices Pittsburgh has been committed to achieving the total well-being of Black women and girls for the last 9 years, but we have decided to shout it loud and proud for the first time ever in our mission. So that is what we have decided to take up as our cause moving forward. And it's not just an externality, it's not just about other people, it's really about us, each person, each individual. So myself, Latasha, when she comes up, we're trying to be well. We want you all to be well. We want us to be whole. We want our communities to be whole, and we want us to love ourselves. So today is about our collective power, our individual power, honoring that. And we are just, once again, we're filled with gratitude for you to be here today. We have a wonderful program for you. We have a delicious lunch. Our guest speaker is here, so we can give her a round of applause. Eleanor Hinton Hoytt. I like sweet and fierce, So that's what we're going to get today with Eleanor. And Latasha's going to speak more about her. And I'm going to bring up someone who I really appreciate in this community. She has been a really committed fighter for women's equity and for diversity and for people of color. And I actually met her in a diversity workshop where she was telling really personal stories about some of her experiences, and I was really moved by her commitment to the work. And so we're going to welcome Dina Clark, who is the Senior Director of the Center for Race and Gender Equity here at the YWCA of Greater Pittsburgh.
Welcome to the YW. We're trying to keep that energy and that spirit going, so thank you for being here. Thank you for those kind words, and thank you for choosing the YW as the spot to have you embrace our presence in Pittsburgh. Most of you, I assume, have either been here or are familiar with the YWCA, but on our building, as you would see, there's a commitment to the elimination of racism and empowerment of women. And I wish I could say I'm working myself out of a job, but I worry day to day. And part of what the Center for Race and Gender Equity does, which is where I am particularly housed, is to really try and grasp what we are doing from an advocacy standpoint, fight. So when I see groups like this come together, it inspires me. Because, you know, those days, we all know we need inspired for each other, and I'm having one of those days, weeks, months, so I'm grateful to see all of you here. But the intersection of the two includes not only educating individuals, but also looking at what we can do to create not just national change, but global change. There are a lot of things that are going on that are affecting everyone, as you know, and so whatever we can do to grab on a piece of that, and I think 1 Billion Rising is a perfect example. So welcome to the YW, and on behalf of our CEO, Maggie Jensen, and myself, I'm glad you all are here. I know you're going to have an excellent program. The topics are right on point, and I look forward to hearing and seeing all of you at some point, hopefully in the YW, some of our programs. We're also happy that to work with New Voices Pittsburgh, I don't know if you know this, we're a past Racial Justice Award winner for community engagement. It was well deserved, so kudos to them for that. So thank you very much, and if anyone needs anything or wants anything, find one of the YW staff or look for me, and hopefully we'll make you comfortable. So best of luck for a wonderful program. Thank you.
Thank you, Dina. So it is always my pleasure, but I am happy today. You know, how many of you stay up long nights? Don't front. You can tell me the truth. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to say, please take a nap. How many of you work really, really hard to achieve your dreams? How many of you give yourself time to dream? So just on that, I want to encourage you to take time to dream, take a nap. But in that vein, I want to bring up someone who works tirelessly. She's tired, but she pushes consistently, daily, yearly. So I'm going to bring up Latasha Mays. She is a dear friend, and she's the founder and executive director of New Voices Pittsburgh. Women of Color HERStory Month could not be possible without her hard work, and the political luncheon is her vision to really bring women of color together to talk about issues that are important and matter in our lives and figure out really innovative ways for us to solve the challenges that we face on a daily basis. And so we want to bring her up, celebrate her hard work in this community, and give her a round of applause.
Hello again. Thank you, Becca Zala. Thank you to all of you who are here today. Just want to make a few remarks about the work of New Voices Pittsburgh, the importance of this lunch, the importance of Black women's health, the importance of us all being together today to really change the culture of the place where we live called Pittsburgh. But before we do that, it seems like it's only appropriate to call on the names of the people, the women who inspire, hopefully all of you, but certainly in New Voices Pittsburgh. So feel free to amen, ashe, because some of these women are in the room. Billy Avery, Laverne Baker Hotep, Lavera Brown, Shirley Chisholm, Angela Davis, Dr. Helen Faison, Alma Speed Fox, Alma Speed Fox, Katie Everett Johnson, Brenda Frazier, America Jackson, Maida Springer Kemp, Daisy Lampkin, Margaret Larkins Pettigrew, Claudette Lewis, Audre Lorde, Thelma Lovett, Lois Tony McClendon, Michelle Obama, Kelly Parker, Valerie McDonald Roberts, Loretta Ross, Betty Shabazz, Cecile Springer, Coretta Scott King, Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman, Ida B. Wells, Kathy J. Wilson, and I could go on and on and on and on about the women, the sheroes, those who made a way for us to be here today, our foremothers. our grandmothers, our sisters, our daughters, and all those who will come after us. Someone had to make a way for us to be here. I'm Latasha Mays. I am founder and executive director of New Voices Pittsburgh. And we began this small thing in 2004. But we're just getting the memo that there's no small things in New Voices Pittsburgh. Oh, we'll just go to this march in 2004. Then we're just going to go and we're going to come back. No, we're going to start an organization. Oh, we're just going to have this little rally downtown, 1 Billion Rising, international movement. That is representative of the work that we have undertaken over the years. But I have to look back and ask myself and have to ask you, where would we be? Where would we be without those who came before us? So I ask, where could Pittsburgh be? Where would Pittsburgh be without the generations of courageous, bold, and outspoken leadership of Alma Speed Fox, her entire life? We honor today. She is my shero, and I'm glad she lives like around the corner from me so I can harass her. Where would we be without a movement for women's health led by Black women, led by the National Black Women's Health Project in the 80s and before? Where would we be? Where would Pittsburgh be? Where would New Voices be if this entire community had literacy around our inalienable human rights? But did you know we live in a human rights city? Where would we be? Where would New Voices Pittsburgh be without the powerful lineage of our foremothers, our sisters who walk with us, our ancestors who inspire us to do this work? Where will we be in New Voices Pittsburgh without you? Because you dreamed and hoped and wished for us every day. You support our work. You support us individually. You support our vision. This is what this is. This is our vision. So what will our vision be for the present and the future? Where would I be and where would you be if Black women did not have a life expectancy of women living in developing countries? In Pittsburgh, Black women in Pittsburgh have a life expectancy of women living in developing countries. Where would we be? Where would I be? Where would you be if we had the health, well-being, and quality of life that we all deserve because we are here? And that's the only qualification that we need. So now we take on a new vision for New Voices Pittsburgh and a new mission that builds a social change movement dedicated to the health and well-being of Black women and girls through our tried and true strategies: leadership development, reproductive justice, and human rights. That is our new mission this year. For those of you not familiar with our foundation of reproductive justice, we have believed from the beginning to today that each of us has the human right to control all choices and decisions about our bodies, about our sexuality, about our gender, about our work, and our reproduction. And with our foundation that carries us in our new mission, we proceed to address issues of reproductive health, healthcare reform, LGBTQ rights, incarceration, and environmental justice. All those things play a violent factor in the lives of women. And so how do we continue? We continue when we meet absolute warriors for Black women's health. And I want to call the name of Eleanor Hinton Hoytt. Ashe? Ashe. Who we had the blessing of meeting within the last 6 months And I asked myself, where have you been all my life? And, you know, the first day we met, she had a full schedule. And I said, okay, well, we can just talk at our meeting tomorrow. And she said, no, I'll change my schedule around so we can talk. That was my first interaction with her. Eleanor Hinton Hoytt, one of my favorite two people from North Carolina. And she has all the Southern sensibilities and all the vision and passion that one might expect. How is it that Eleanor Hinton Hoytt has been fighting for Black women's health for over 30 years? She talks about the founding of the National Black Women's Health Project and what that meant for entire communities of Black women in this country, how they traveled from Detroit and other places with no plan for housing or how they were going to get back. Laverne Baker Hotel. To be in service of other Black women and to be in service of the health and well-being of Black women. That is what Eleanor Hinton Hoytt has inspired. When a president wants to know something about Black women's health, guess who he calls? Eleanor Hinton Hoytt. And so now as she continues to lead the Black women's health imperative, you know, she's done it multiple times, but in this last iteration, she has called upon a new generation of Black women to take the mantle and to accept the torch for the health and well-being of Black women and girls in the United States. Who else do you know serves 19 million Black women and girls? I don't. But we all will get to meet Eleanor Hinton Hoytt. She's an activist, a visionary, an architect for a movement that is for us, that is led by us, and that is about us. Not to mention, she won an NAACP Image Award for her book, Health First, talking about Black women's wellness. She is a warrior for reproductive justice. She is the leading voice in addressing health inequity in this country. We are proud, honored, and blessed to have her in Pittsburgh. She is our shero, and we call her name as well during Women of Color HERStory Month. I'd like to bring up Eleanor Hinton Hoytt, President of Black Women's Health Imperative.
Thank you so very much. And Latasha, I want a record of that introduction so I can play it back to my staff and my board when I negotiate my contract. It is, please know that it is my honor. You honor me by being here. There is no better way that I can think of being and serving and knowing that you have not only my back, but the back of New Voices Pittsburgh. Your being here symbolizes that you care, that you are a woman of action, and you are a woman of compassion. And so I say congratulations to Latasha D. Mays, New Voices Pittsburgh, and your staff. I've met several of you, particularly the ones who are in college, and I just love it. One told me, said, well, I do policy. Another one does community organizing. And I said, oh, I'm just too impressed, because we don't do that. And so I'm impressed. It is good to know that you're here doing what we need to have done. And I say congratulations to you, the women of Pittsburgh. I heard last night that you had the biggest, baddest, largest 1 billion rising group on the square. Well, I'm impressed. And so let's give Latasha and her staff and volunteers and her committee congratulations for your bold, courageous actions. and also for bringing together women in HERStory, so that we can talk about what we need, what we deserve, and what we must have, not to survive. I'm over surviving. But what we need to thrive and be contributing members of this society. In many ways, we come together at a historic moment, and we're going to put a pin in that, because I think we have to say that this is an historic moment in the era of health reform and what that means. What that means for those of us who have had not, for what it means for those of us who have had some, but not enough. What it means for those of us in this room who may have, and what it means for future generations. Now, this is not a political act. This is a human rights and a social justice agenda. And I want to put a pin in that because I'm going to talk to you later about, and I don't think I am talkative, but I know I only got 30 minutes at most. But I will talk to you about what the Affordable Care Act could mean, has meant, will mean in terms of helping all of us, and particularly women. And it is an historic moment with endless opportunities to take action, to advocate for our own well-being as well as for our families and our communities, to bring about lifestyle changes for yourself, for millions of others, for your families and your communities. And as you will note, I will say for ourselves, for you, for your families, I'm putting them next. For your communities, I'm putting them next. Because I don't believe we can do this work unless you understand your value, who you are, what you bring to the table, and we must begin to love ourselves, care for ourselves, trust our instincts. I've been blessed with instincts that haven't failed me many times, except now when I got married, but that's all right, I recovered. And what we have to do is to trust ourselves, trust our instincts, and know that without that faith in ourselves, we can't do this work and we can't bring about that power you're talking about and you're trying to seize. It ain't gonna happen. You've got to have more clarity about who you are and what you bring to the table. My brother Obama, he has clarity. And we have to make sure that somehow, somewhere, he and Michelle know that Black women are part of the agenda. And they don't know that quite yet, but it is our job to help them. It is also important that we begin this journey. And if you haven't been on this journey, you need to begin it today. And so as I stand here before you today, my goal is to inspire. I don't come out unless I in some way inspire at least one woman here to make health a priority. Now, I would prefer if you'd make your health, because I'm the believer that in order for me to be healthy and happy, in order for my daughter to be healthy and happy, and for my staff to be healthy and happy, I must be healthy and happy, because I have to, when my daughter was under 21, it was my responsibility to nurture, to guide, to love, and to care. With my staff, it is my responsibility to lead and to inspire and to motivate and to set the standards. And so in order for me to do that, I have to bring more than an idea. I declined the lemon bar so that I could come up and talk to you. And so I also stand here today also to provoke. And that's important because some of you lead, but others of you can. And some of you care, but others of you can. And so we got to provoke us into action. And so what can I say to you that you don't already know? Because many of us know more than we do. Right? You agree? Uh-huh. So I struggled with what could I say to you for you to open up, for you to listen, for you to believe that we as people, we as Black women, we as women are not destined to be sick. We are not destined to die prematurely and not destined to live a life of neglect, disrespect, and dishonor, and we're not destined to be in denial about our health. And so how many of you, will you stand? How many of you believe that you are healthy? If you stand, oh, hello. That's unusual. I don't usually have that many. Keep standing. Keep standing if you can. And so that's a lot. That's unusual. I often ask this question because self-assessment is so important to who you are, where you go. I believe, and my hand is up, I believe I'm healthy. And so raise your hands or stand on your feet or sit down if you're on medications. Sit down. If you're on medication. So the rest of you standing are not on medication. Now sit down if you have had an HIV test in the last 2 to 3 years. If you have not had, if you have not had a HIV test in the last 2 or 3 years, sit down. If you have not had, to be healthy, you have to have had. All right? All right. Sit down if you have not had a mammogram. If you've not had a mammogram. All right. That's good. This is not bad. And so there are many things that we could say. And okay, you can sit down now. There are many things we can say about being healthy. And what I'm trying to say is that many of us believe or perceive ourselves to be healthy even when we're not. If you haven't had your mammogram in the past 2 or 3 years and you're over 35 for Black women, young Black women have the highest mortality rate of any cohort. Don't believe what you hear. Listen to me. Don't believe the other folks, believe me. Black women are also at high risk of HIV and HPV. We need to be tested. You need to be secure. You need to ask your partner, are you diseased or not? And you need to be secure that you go there safe and secure. You need to know more about what it takes to be healthy. So that's one of the things that I want to get across. But when I think of the fact that most Black women, of the 20 million now, Latasha, Black women in this country who are unhealthy, who bear the unequal burden of health disparities, health inequities. I'm often reminded of Dr. Martin Luther King's powerful, most powerful indictment, when he said, of all forms of inequality, the injustice in health is the most shocking and the most inhumane. And certainly you would agree with that. And that is what drives the Black Women's Health Imperative today as it did 30 years ago. We're celebrating our 30th anniversary this year. When Billie Y. Avery founded the National Black Women's Health Project at Spelman College in 1983, in June 22nd, 1983, of which I was fortunate enough to be the coordinator of that first ever Black Conference on Black Women. Can you imagine that everybody was talking about everybody else's health and nobody was talking about Black women's health? Not really about what we could do to bring about some health equity. We came together under the clarion call of Fannie Lou Hamer. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I want you to know, we could say that today. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of dying prematurely and unnecessarily from avoidable diseases. And that's what drives me, that if I could inspire one of you or two of you to make that change. Angel came in, and I'm inspiring Angel to make that change that we talked about last night. Are you ready to commit, Angel? And what we do is that we inspire, we motivate, but we support women in making changes in lifestyle, in behaviors that deprive us of the right to be healthy and whole and a contributing member of society. I'm so impressed with my sister over here, who has been at it for such a long time. I love older Black women. I mean, being one myself of chronologically gifted, you know. I love because we have forgotten what it means to have older women within our fold to share with us and to care about us and to pull our coattails and say, no, you don't want to take it that way, you know? And so thank you, all of you, for being here, and thank you, Irma, for being part of our... Oh, okay. And so the imperative, I'm going to say a few minutes about the imperative, the Black Women's Health Imperative that started 30 years ago. So the imperative started with a vision of health and wellness for Black women, so that Black women could, one, be empowered so that we could be engaged in self-love and self-care as we work that agenda, as we undergo the burden, as we experience the burden of being Black, female, and with all of the chronic diseases that you already know. Two, that we could be educated on the issues that affect us disproportionately so that we could be an informed and active healthcare decision maker, not only for our families and communities, but also for ourselves. I go to the dentist. I go to get my mammogram. I go to get my One Well Woman exam. You know, do that for yourself. You need to know. I know fear grips us often, and we would prefer, but call your sister friend, your mother or your daughter. Have someone go with you and hold your hand and comfort you as you... I know too many Black women. I know too many Black women who die from breast cancer because they don't want to go back to hear the verdict. or they don't want to, after they hear the verdict, they don't have the health insurance in order to have the treatment. Or if they have the treatment, they die because they don't get the deep care that they need, because guess what? We're not offered the kinds of therapies that other women are offered. Or we don't have the kinds of mammograms. We have the film mammograms. Well, guess what? Don't get the film mammograms. If they can't give you tomosynthesis or digital, tell them where to go. You're going someplace else. It is not enough for us to be denied the kind of care and treatment that we have to have. We have dense breasts. We're working now on breast density legislation at the state level and the federal level, whereby when you get your record, they will tell you how dense your breast is. And so guess what? That means you're at high risk. And therefore you need a different kind of mammography. And so care enough, not only for yourself, but for others, so that we can be good healthcare decision makers for ourselves and our families. Care about the billboards in your communities that promote alcohol and liquor and Coca-Cola and fried chicken. It is not enough. It's killing us. Latasha, I say, in order for you to have reproductive justice, you got to take down the billboards if they're here. I only know they're in D.C. They're not in my neighborhood, because guess what? I live in the suburbs. I'm not going to curse. I live in the suburbs. You know, I should not be the only one of black women. There are 3 black women in my neighborhood. I shouldn't be the only one not having to endure billboards that advertise whatever it is, the liquor and whatever. And so care enough about your community. Clean up the streets. Put in some sidewalks. Don't tell me about our kids being obese. Ain't no sidewalks, there ain't no recreation centers, ain't no basketball court, ain't no skating rinks. In my neighborhood, you got to say that. In my neighborhood, it is. Butterfly gardens. You know, I mean, all of us deserve more and better. And how do we get it? What can we do? That's what we need to talk about. That's where the power comes in. The imperative started with the vision number 3 of connecting to others in order to reduce the social, individual isolation and the collective displacement that hamper us from seeking a pat, a hug, a kiss, or inclusion, or solutions for ourselves and our families and our communities. The one thing that I know that you may not know is that black women are emotionally and socially isolated and carry a heavy burden not only of depression, but also particularly for the millennials of you, I'm so glad to see you, but high rates of anxiety. And so we got to figure out, I thank you, I congratulate you for bringing women together. We have lost that mission of convening. My doctoral research was on black women organizing in the South during the progressive era, including Nanny Helen Burroughs, one of my ladies, who we specialize in the impossibility, you see. And that's what we do. And one of the things that we used to say is, those of us who are older, chronologically gifted, we used to say we take lemons and we make lemonade. Well, I'm tired of making lemonade now. You know, we got to go beyond that. We have dropped health disparities. We're now charting our course for achieving health equity. Yes. And so we got 10 minutes to talk about that. And then fourth, organize so that we could affect change. And that's what Latasha is doing here. 500 folks around 1 billion rising. It's an international agenda. It's an international movement, a global agenda that's localized, because guess what? It never would have occurred to me, head of the Black Women's Health Imperative with 160,000 in our database, it never would have occurred to me that 500 women would come together around violence. It is one of our secrets. We're so ashamed. We ignore it. We pretend. We grin. And we bear it. And so we have to be organized. And that's what New Voices Pittsburgh is doing. Mobilizing and organizing and motivating and bringing about change in our lives. But also showing us the possibility, taking on that wholly impossible task that we take on, because we have no other choice. And then fifth, committed to changing how Black women are perceived and received and talked about. And it starts with you. If there is anything that I do in 2013, and I have started this and I'm committed to it, it is that we must change that narrative on Black women. On Black women and abortion, we are not the victim. We are not, no one wants an abortion, but it's here. I grew up, when I was in college in the 60s, I grew up and when abortion was illegal. And in the dorms, and I'm not saying where I went to college, as some of you know, but there were women who were bleeding on the floor because it was illegal during that time, you know? And so you don't want to go back to those days. And I know many of you have grown up and you've always had that right. Well, that's not enough. It is not enough for you to think you have that right, because Congress and your state legislature are trying to take it away. And so we have to be about the human right, the need for self-determination to make those decisions that are best for us. You have to trust Black women. And we don't make all of the right decisions. No one does. But it is not your job. It is not okay for you to have, as one senator came into office and he said, "What do you mean I'm not getting health insurance for 30 days? And I said to myself, I said, can we call him and ask him and tell him to welcome to our world? And as one senator said to Senator Barbara McCoskey of Maryland, I don't need a maternal care and pregnancy benefits. She said, but, and you know Senator McCoskey is about 4 something. She stood up and she said, but your mama did. And so we have to be forthright and know that we can't address one part of our body without addressing other parts, including our needs and our heart. Cardiovascular disease, the #1 killer for all women. Or diabetes, and we believe we're destined because my mama had it and my grandmama had it. And you only need to lose 7 to 10 pounds and cut out a little of the lemon bars and the brownies in order to get off that insulin. Or do you understand what I'm talking about? That we have to be committed to how Black women are talked about and perceived. Yes. That I cannot go, I will not participate, and I participate on lots of panels talking about Black women, abortion, and contraception. I don't talk about it no more unless you talk about Black women and abortion other than the statistics. Now, we've got to move beyond the numbers. And I say to CDC, I call them every time they put out a statistic. I say, now, what do you want me to do with this number? Right. I'm not questioning your job. I'm saying, what are some of the tools and solutions? What can I do about this number. 1 in 4 teens has at least one STD, and 1 in 2 black teens has an STD, and black girls don't benefit from physical activity. Now, who the H are you to talk about my girls when you only have 400 in your sample? You got to call them on it. We got to come together and change how we talk about it, how we perceive black women, stop calling ourselves names, and rise into the occasion when other people doubt us or don't include us. I call the White House. I do a lot of outreach for the White House, for Sebelius, Secretary Sebelius, for Senator Reid. I'm going to meet with Senator Reid on contraception next week, Latasha, so anything you want me to tell him, send it to me. It's next Wednesday morning at 9. And what I say to you is that in my letter to the president, and you can see that on our website, www.blackwomenshealth.org, we said we need a clean budget and we don't want no riders on abortion. We don't want no more cuts to Medicaid and Medicare, and no more talking about Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. This is the lifeblood of our families, of our women, of our fathers. We need more from you. And so I have about 10 minutes at most. And so I want to say to you, what can we do about some of this? And I want to talk about quick, and I can do this. I know I can do this in 10 minutes. Challenges, opportunities, and hope. You got to always live and lead with hope. More than 14 million women live in poverty. That's 1 in 8. But I pulled this up when I read the article about Pittsburgh. In a 2008 study, it's worse than the national average. And obviously I won't be able to find it yet. It's the one that talks about, you know it probably better than I, that talks about the $5 net worth of single black women. Well, you and I know it ain't $5 because it doesn't consider our hair and our nails and our shoes. And so, but Esther Bush, is she here today? Executive Director of the Urban League of Greater Pittsburgh, said these are excuses and circumstances. And I say to you, these are circumstances that are very complex and interlocking, because 1 in 8 live in poverty, but I think in Pittsburgh 1 in 4. And that's the article that came out in the Post, in the Gazette. Do you have a Gazette here? Post Gazette. Okay. And so you know it has to be the last word, right? And so, but what you don't know is that women of color and elderly women are the ones most affected by that. That for black women, we live on our Social Security, and the average of that is $1,000, $1,009, I think. We're most vulnerable. And so what can you do? You got to do more about poverty. And I say to you, Latasha, and you know I love you. I've also fallen in love with New Voices Pittsburgh. But I'm going to ask you also to not expect the women in Pittsburgh to be okay if you can't do something about poverty. That you don't have a chance. You don't have those choices that we were talking about last night, right? You can't. The median income of black women in Pittsburgh is a despicable $20,000. Hello. That you have to be almost at the bottom of major cities. So what is being done in this town? And I'm not putting you on the spot. I'm just saying that let's broaden our chances of having a life, of being healthy. Consider this, another challenge. 1 in 4 girls drop out of high school. Now, you got to do something about it. You know, you cannot not be educated. You got to stay in school. I don't care if you don't like your teacher, you don't like your seatmate, you don't like riding the bus, whatever it is. Get your education. And the University of Pittsburgh is here. Somebody brought me something. There's also another college, Chatsworth. Now, what are you doing not only about the power of women, but what about the lack of power of other women? And education is so important. And so is it that University of Pitts does a lot to get you in? Do they do a lot to get you out? I'm not criticizing, I'm raising questions of what can we do about the low educational attainment of black girls. Nationally, this is not 50% in Pittsburgh. I think it's 70% here. Well, let's do something about that. We're driving a wellness approach. Physical wellness, environmental wellness, social wellness, emotional wellness, sexual wellness, and guess what? And financial wellness. I'm in charge of the financial wellness development. Tune in to us in a month or so. You know, you got to do more than $5. Well, you got to give up the lattes and the fried chicken and the stuff, whatever it is, and the nails. I got pretty nails to come up here. More than 17 million women have no insurance. 17% of black women have no insurance. And so what can you do? You can support health reform every time. Latasha and I are working out the relationship with the Black Women's Health Imperative. And so we're moving on this health reform, the state insurance exchange. Have you heard of the state insurance exchange? Well, you need to be part of that. That controls how uninsured women have insurance. Uninsured children and families have it. I'm positioning people to be all over the country on these health insurance committees. If not that, then how to get enrollment. We need well folks to be enrolled, so in order for us to keep the cost down. And so I'm going to close by raising a couple of questions. What does it take for us to beat the odds? What do black women need in order to beat the odds? I'm going to ask you, what stands in our way of being healthy, of being involved? There is no magic bullet. There is no formula. There is no prescription. It's a lot of hard work, not only to survive, but to thrive, particularly under these turbulent social, economic, and political times. And what I ask you to do is to put your health first above all other responsibilities. I truly believe that health must be a core value, and it must be your living legacy. That without that health, the other movements, our other actions will not make a difference, because you have to know that black children, black women, black men, black families, and black communities are dying prematurely, unnecessarily, without cause, from avoidable diseases and under despicable circumstances. And so I ask you to join us in this movement to right the course of Black women's health, to support Black women as we attempt to pave a way so that others may follow, but not just follow, but also can lift up a generation that follows us that will not have as much as we have had. I believe and trust that you will do that, and I thank you for having me.
At this moment, we're going to just take a few questions. I know we're short on time. Does anyone have any burning questions they would like to ask Eleanor before we end? She covered everything, right?
Comments.
Renee?
I don't know. I question the notion of Black girls and just the whole notion of Black girls and self-esteem. And I've been dealing with that topic for a long time, Renee. What I do know is that our Black girls need us. And I don't know if we're up to the task. What I do know is that this isn't about being cocky or selfish. This is about survival of the Black community. That I know that the decisions I make at any point in time will have repercussions, if not at that moment, later. And so if we don't give enough time to our girls and boys, because I think we love our boys. You know, I don't think we raise our boys. And dear Lord didn't give me a boy to raise. But I don't think we give enough time to our girls, or we make enough sacrifices that says you are important, and therefore at 12 you can't have an iPad, or your phone time is off at 9 or 10, or you don't get to do this if you haven't done your homework, which I review. I mean, you know, that's old-fashioned, I know. I can only go by what worked with me, what worked with my mom, what worked with my daughter. And hopefully if I have a granddaughter, she's gonna do that too. And so you put in the time, you give your heart. We beat our children. We neglect our children. We believe the sneakers and the clothes and the hairdos and the whatever it is, the TV and the iPads. I know I have family members with iPads that's 11. Well, I got one too, but I'm 70. You know? So so that's raising children. That's instilling them what should be valued. And so I say that it might be self-esteem, I don't know, but I also know that values mean a lot. I listen well to the young folks in my life, don't I? I do. I just met her 6 months ago, and she's now telling me where to go and what to do and what to say. You know, but because I value her, I will take time for her. You know, my time is past, and so I value who you are. You know, I love the fact that you care enough to work this work and do this work and to honor me. And so I think we need to do a little bit more of connecting and loving and caring. And I'm just saying that I feel good. Some of you, I went around the room, I know you thought I was crazy. I was shaking your hands because I'm from the South. Hello, we hug. And by the way, Renee, I just want to say that everybody has said that I took Dr. Angela Ford away, and I just want to acknowledge that Dr. Angela Ford works with me.
Any other? I'll take one more question.
We need to come out of the closet. We need to break the silence. We need to put aside the same. We don't deal with mental health per se, we deal with the emotional health. If I'm sad, lonely, and isolated, we try to bring that out, and you notice I talked about that, being socially and emotionally isolated. We have had for 5 years a forum of young women from 18 to 32, I think, 31. And there were recurring themes. Relationships. They didn't know how to be in a relationship. They didn't know how to talk to a boy or a young man because they've been tweeting and tweeting and emailing and whatever it is you all do. So relationships. Their mamas. They were estranged from their mamas. I can't even imagine. Because I'm so close to my daughter, I was close to my mama. I'm close to Dr. Hoytt, my mentor. I'm going to be close to Alma. Because I really love what women bring to the table. I learn so much. And so that's that emotional health that's important. Now, mental health is the medical. You're moving into the medical. Schizophrenia, etc. High anxiety is growing among the millennials. And some of it is because we are so afraid and we put on a mask. When you begin to care more about your values and have clarity about who you are, you break through. You see yourself through different lens. And the world will see you through different lens. No one knows my fears, if you were to just meet me. But if you were to talk to me for a half an hour, you'll know some of my fears, And so we don't expose that. Mental health is major, and we ignore it. And so I would say that what we recommend is that we need to begin talking about having that crazy brother or sister or mama. Now, it's the women, the young women in our Young Women's Health Forum, they talked about having a crazy mama. And I could relate because my daughter called me crazy too because I had so many rules and this is what could happen so that I could buy her shoes, so she could graduate from college without having debt, because you can't have cable and I pay that, $18,000 tuition. Yeah, I'm crazy. So accept that, but find out why I'm crazy. Now she's 38, 39, and so she thanks me. Thank you, Mama, for helping me buy a condo in New York. Thank you, Mama, for helping me not have a college loan. Thank you, Mama, for helping me to survive and be okay. Let's take one other we have. Well, and we're going to, Natasha and I are going to talk about that in terms of our relationship. I would ask you for now, sign up as an online member. We don't have memberships, but finally I have a policy staff of 2. Hopefully I'll have 3 later, a director of policy who's a legislative whiz. She used to be a legislative director for a senator on the Hill. And so we're coming out with a legislative agenda. We're coming out, we have a reproductive justice framework, and we are really going to move on HOD. We are really going to move on contraceptives, and know that that agenda around free contraceptives without cost, and it's not free, obviously, and also over-the-counter OTC. That's a problem for poor women. So, but the coalitions, and so the movement is our coming together all over the country with a legislative and policy agenda that you can, when and where I enter, that you may not agree with our breast cancer legislative agenda, because we're moving fast and hard on that. I mean, I'm so angry. We're moving fast and hard on HIDE. I'm so angry. And yet the coalitions, the white coalitions in DC are not supportive of that, you see. And so we need you. And so keep in touch with Latasha and join us online. I want 2013 to be our year. And who's the person from the YWCA? Dina, I wanted to say to you that I have an affinity, I know it's 2 o'clock, with the YWCA. I'm real proud, not only because of my affiliation with the National Black Women's Health Project, but also with Dr. Dorothy Height, who started your Center of Racial Justice. I worked with her for 7 or 8 years and wrote for her about 5 years after I left. But also, I'm proud to say I was the first Black who was chair of the student YWCA in 1963 with Barbara Jordan and Howard Griffin were our trainers at Lake Geneva. I don't know if you all remember Howard Griffin, who wrote Black Like Me. So I was the very first Black chair of the student YWCA. And Mrs. Rockefeller was on the board then, and a few others. So the YWCA was the way to go.
Circle back.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Could we give a round of applause for Eleanor Hinton Hoytt, President of the Black Women's Health Imperative. I want her to stay up here with me as we present her with a small token of our appreciation for her life, for her work, for all the contributions she's made so that the work of New Voices Pittsburgh can continue. And so this is just something small from the women of this community that we would like to share with you. And Becca Zell is going to.
This is a gift bag curated by Lakeisha Wolf, which has some really awesome items from the Ujima Collective. And the Ujima Collective is a group of Black women who are committed to building our own economic builders.
Thank you very much, and that's financial wellness. That's what we're talking about, building wealth, because obviously you can't have physical health without the financial wellness. Thank you so very much. It's been my pleasure to be here with you today.
Just a few more items before we close. I know for a fact that you have inspired at least one person in here, including Angel. We're gonna work on that. But Eleanor, I mean, you inspire me. You continue to inspire me every time we come together. And that, you know, I have Claudette giving me the side eye at the table because there are things that I need to do for myself and not put our work first. Always put my own health first. Because if y'all don't got me, if I don't have myself, then we can't do this work together. And we have a lot of work to do. Amen? For those who subscribe to that. So thank you, Eleanor. It's our absolute honor to have you here with us in Pittsburgh. You know, it was inspiring for us to do 1 Billion Rising. I'm so grateful for everyone who came out to support us. I don't think we could have really planned for how amazing that day was, but we have some 1 Billion Rising swag left over. These were the hankies that we screen printed ourselves. And they say, let us dance to end the violence. Let us shake the earth into awareness. Let us dance to end the violence against women. It says 1 Billion Rising on it. So we have these for sale, and you can get those out front as you're on your way out. And then also we have fabulous t-shirts if you want to take something home with you. And they also just have the 1 Billion Rising logo that we that we use. So this supports our work. This makes our work possible, so we hope that you will help us be financially healthy in New Voices Pittsburgh by supporting our work. I need everyone to hold one of these up. It is Women of Color HERStory Month in the city of Pittsburgh and in Allegheny County for the first year. Can we get a round of applause for that? We continue to do this work because it's important to celebrate the power, legacy, and achievements of women of color. We also have a leftover $1 billion Rising brochure that talks about the new direction of the work of New Voices Pittsburgh, but also on the inside, it really documents what the conditions are for women and women of color in this city. So I encourage you to take that with you and read about what's happening right here in our city. Okay. So lastly, we're really proud that our work to define health in a broader way includes our physical, emotional, and spiritual health, but also our political health, our economic and financial health, our environmental health, and our social health. And so all these things together is our aspiration for 2013, and that is to create a Black women's health agenda and a Black girls' health agenda for the greater Pittsburgh region. Will you join us as we chart this course, as we create the blueprint for the changes and the vision that we want to see in this region? Wait, okay, yes? Yes? Yes?
Yes, emphatically.
Emphatically yes, absolutely yes. But the Black Women's Health Agenda is what we're doing next in New Voices Pittsburgh. It's in alignment. Thank you. It's in alignment with our new mission to build a social change movement dedicated to the health and well-being of Black women and girls, and really continuing to highlight the importance of human rights and reproductive justice for our communities. So now I ask you as we close, what will we build for Black women and girls in Pittsburgh? How do we create a community of healthy Black women and girls? What needs to change in Pittsburgh? Our expectations, our values, our policy, our culture, the recognition of our power. So those are the questions we leave you with today. We want to say thank you for attending the Women of Color Political Lunch. The 4th annual is so crazy that we're still here. The 6th anniversary of Women of Color HERStory Month. And we still believe that we specialize in the wholly impossible. We would not be here if we did not believe that. If it wasn't for Alma Speed Fox, who said to me, you really don't have an option here but to organize these women for this march. She's not someone you say no to from the beginning to now, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful. So we love you. I love you. Thank you to all of you for all your support. Thank you for...
Thank you.
But this year we're looking to expand it to a regional, as in multi-state conference, with really amazing speakers locally, like the Ujima Collective and others, Landslide Community Farm, who really help us to focus on not only environmental justice, but economic justice as well. So stay tuned to www.womenofcolorherstory.org. That will have all the details as we continue to promote and plan for that conference. So thank you, Roxanne, for asking that question.